But darling, there's only one God.
Welcome to the Dirty Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Cookie, and as always, thank you for tapping in with me. You could be anywhere, listening to anybody, but you're here with your girl. I'm really talking to mamas a lot lately, y'all. I think this might just be one of them years. I guess I got to really just tap in and check in with y'all, so I'm going to do that. So a lot of things have happened lately. Of course, we got court cases going on. Cassie and Diddy, they're in the courtroom now, y'all. There's a lot of nasty things coming out about the freak-offs, but again, it's not so much about them. It's the public opinion where y'all always show y'all asses and about how she could have said no. Why didn't she do this? Why didn't she do that? Why didn't you? I want us to do something this year. Black community, please. I need us to research the cycles of abuse. I am begging y'all, because you get on the internet and you talk reckless, and the people in your life that are going through situations, maybe not as extreme, but they're going through their own trauma. I said it once, I've said it a million times. You are not a safe space. The most dangerous time for any woman is when she decides to leave, okay? Anytime we've seen cases where somebody's decided to unalive their wife or the mother of their children, it's when she was trying to get away. So what do? Found a way to weaponize the kids to get her to meet up with them, something of that nature. It is always the most risky when you're leaving, because now you're dealing with that rage of breaking free of those chains. So again, just do it for mama. Do some research on that. But now we've had some new developments. Y'all, I don't edit nothing here, and it's always raw. I am in mommy mode, even as I'm talking about mommy mode, and my little red-headed grunt, my little red-headed crotch goblin is playing games. Girl, be quiet back there. All right. So it has just come out that our little mermaid, Halle Bailey, has filed a restraining order against the father of her child, Diddy, for alleged assault. She showed pictures of bruises on her arms and a chipped tooth. Baby, you can't be playing with nobody's teeth. You can do a lot of things, but playing with somebody's teeth, whatever the case. I thumbed through some of the information, but it appears that, yeah, she is filing for sole custody of Halo, their son. And now y'all doing what y'all do best. So we got one end that's, we told you to stay away from this guy, Halle, which y'all got to stop doing that shit. We've all walked a certain plank where there were sharks in the water and nobody could stop us from touching the stoves we needed to get the life experience required for us to learn shit. Life is about messing up. And I'm not saying her getting with DDG is messed up. For her image a little bit, maybe. But we all got to go through our own journey. I said day one, minute one, have grace. Any of us that had a baby in our youth, our early 20s or whatever, we know what processes we went through. But those of y'all that are accusing her because of this restraining order of not wanting her son to be around an active father, I'm just going to cut that bullshit out. And here's why. Mothers want breaks. Mothers want active fathers, whether we together or not. You don't want a situation where you are carrying the full brunt, the responsibility of raising a child by yourself. If a father is doing what he's supposed to do and providing a safe space, because I do think there are situations where you absolutely have to protect yourself and your child. If you're dealing with somebody that's violent, I'm not even talking about DDG at this point, there is some likelihood that they might turn on your child as well, especially if that child has a mind of their own. So we're just going to stop there. Stop encouraging women to stay in situations that are not safe for them. Stop discouraging women from making decisions that protect them. If you put your hands on me, I don't give a damn. You don't care about me as the mother of your child. I don't have to bring your shit. And I say this as somebody that's been in those situations where someone has weaponized wanting to see their child as a way to get access to me. Y'all, this is a thing. Because what's the number one thing you don't want to be viewed as? A bad parent. So what do? Even when you know the situation's not right and there needs to be boundaries, you cave in. But going to court, filing for custody, getting things in place as far as visitation, that keeps all parties honest, that keeps everybody safe, it keeps things in order. And let's be honest, if you don't live in the house, you don't want your kid every day. Most people that don't live in the home, they want to get children at their convenience. I dealt with it when my son was a baby. We had a court agreement. This is your weekend. This is the day you're scheduled to do X, Y, Z. Do y'all think he showed up? Not really, because he did not have control. Some things are about control. It's not about the kid. Sorry, and I know y'all don't want to hear me say that. It's not about tearing a black man down and keeping him away from his child. It's about inconsistency. And sometimes an inconsistent parent can do more damage than an absentee parent. You can't miss what you don't have. There are some kids that can adjust without having somebody in the picture because they don't know what it feels like. But somebody that gets a child, you ever see a child get their hopes up for something or somebody and they don't show up? That cycle of disappointment, eventually it weighs on them and they begin to think, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes kids will internalize an inconsistent parent, thinking that they're doing something to cause them to not show up for them. So it is the responsibility of the parent. I'm not going to say mother because there are fathers that have full custody. There are single dads. It's the responsibility of the parent to protect your child's heart. And if the way somebody moves proves to be detrimental emotionally to that child, yeah, you do what you got to do. Because there's some real parents out there that don't play. Hey, this is what it is. This is my weekend. This is your weekend. We've agreed to these terms of child support. This is what we're going to do. Bada, bada, boom. Keep the drama out of it. There are people that operate that way. But there are folks, and I'm sorry, when DDG was on them streams bringing her name up, I felt like he was doing it for clicks. He needs her to keep his numbers up. And I know some of y'all been fans of his day one, minute one. You tap into streamers like that. But let's be clear. Mainstream really didn't happen until he got with The Little Mermaid. She was bringing that boy to events with Beyonce. She's bringing him to all these exclusive spaces that we didn't see him in before. So yeah, any man wouldn't want to lose that kind of access. Let's just keep it a buck. It is what it is. But I want us to be mindful of the language we use. We're speaking about domestic violence. Again, a lot of these things are alleged, even though we have seen the pictures. When you speak about domestic violence and you go hard on the internet, please understand your comments are going to get pushed to the algorithm of people that know you. My concern don't really even be about celebrities. It be about the ways in which you expose yourselves to not be a safe space for the people around you that are going through it. But also, abusers telling themselves in the comments, y'all. Y'all be thinking y'all going back and forth with somebody who's trying to prove a point. No, you are going back and forth with somebody who routinely knocks somebody's head between a washer and a dryer, and he's a hit dog hollering. When I realize I'm talking to somebody that potentially hits women, shut it down. Why are you going back and forth with this cat? If he was in person, he'd be dragging your ass right now. You better keep it cute, keep it mute. Don't argue with these people. Block and move on. So I'm always going to be here for victims doing what they got to do to look out for themselves. And I know it's a sticky situation with parenting, but bruh, until you go get some anger management, some therapy, a mother or father, because it's some girls out here that get gutted, bust you over the head with a Colt 45. I had an aunt that did it. I come from a family of women that get down, okay? I'm not going to say not all the women in my family have been angels in their domestic situations with their partners. I've seen some women get with them. But I've also had men in my family that have been abusers that people made excuses for, which brings me to my next point. Y'all mothers got to quit making excuses for y'all kids. Now, I saw DDG's mama with her little cryptic message, but let's be clear. There are a lot of mothers that make excuses for their abusive-ass sons. I've seen it. You raising these little raggedy-ass Negroes, and maybe because they're taking care of you, you don't want to hold them accountable. Y'all, when I was younger, I was raised by my grandparents. Our house was like the place that everybody came to. It was like ground zero. It's where everybody convened. And what would happen was we had this one uncle. Oh, I need to put this away. Y'all, the tequila doing what it's supposed to do. The tequila doing what it's supposed to do. I'm up here doing all this talking about, I'm dry. I was dry for 45 days, so I'm just going to tone it down. But I do tastings, and when I do tastings, I get all the leftovers. So we got to dispose of it some kind of way. You can't waste good tequila, so here I am. I'm a little bit litty. Damn it, you threw me out. What was I talking about? Okay, mothers making excuses. I had this uncle. I still have this uncle. Oh, Jesus. Baby, if you look up knocking a head between a washer and a dryer in a dictionary, you will see this man's picture. To this day, and I learned later on that my biological grandfather, because I was raised by my step grandfather, he was very violent as well. So obviously he's his father's son. He would find these really sweet girls that had super low self-esteem, and he would just isolate them from the world, meaning in our house. And because my room was across the hall from his, I would hear what he was doing to women, well, to his girlfriend at the time, because he would rotate them out once he couldn't beat them no more. And nobody ever stepped in. He would beat the shit out of these girls, and they wasn't doing nothing wrong. Maybe she looked at him the wrong way, or just it took nothing to set him off. But nobody stepped in. But once he started getting arrested for it, people would make excuses like, oh, it wasn't that bad, or he was trying to raise them. He loved them girls. And even as a young girl, and again, I'm like 14 years old, I remember having company come over. And one day we was outside in the streets kind of, playing around and all of that. And, in the hood back in the 90s, nobody wanted their electric bill to go up. So what did you do? You left the door open all day. And I remember us kind of playing kickball and racing in the street. And while my friend was distracted, I happened to look at the door just in time to see this man yank this girl by her throat. And my first thought was, oh my God, I don't want my friend to see this. So I kind of ran over to her and guided her in a different direction. Because my fear was if her mom saw it, she wouldn't let her come back over. My fear wasn't for the girl, because that became normal. Like, it was normal to know that I had this person in my family that would swing on a bitch for no reason. So I grew up watching people make excuses or turning a blind eye to violent men. So I know what it is for some of these girls out here in these streets and why people don't like to report it. And let's be clear. I think that some people have this idea that violent men are like these big Debos that walk around on 10 all the time. No, it's actually men that are typically very charismatic. Like, it's everybody's homie, they're the life of the party, and they're probably really good friends to the friends they have, which is why it's harder to believe when somebody comes out detailing an assault. It doesn't line up with the image that he has created for other people. And I've said this once, I'll say it a million times. Abusers groom their supporters just as much as they groom their victims to stay. I did this podcast the other night, and one of the questions, one of the questions he posed was, but don't you think that there are some women that like love being abused? Like some women that love, and I'm just like, what the fuck? No woman loves being abused. But if she hasn't taught any different, and especially if you've isolated her from her support system, you're all she has. So after a while, she kind of gets numb to things. She doesn't love it, but she doesn't know any different. And also, when a man starts talking like that, ladies, be clear, you're talking to an abuser. You're talking to somebody that... Men are quick to tell women, well, this happened because it was a pookie, a ray. You should you ignore the red flags. But the thing is, when we identify the red flags early, y'all like, well, you judging, you coming down on black men. No, you're showing tendencies. So to me, the number one sign that you might be abusive is that you're arguing about and defending men that are abusive. Y'all remember that trend? It kind of faded out when fathers would take prom pictures with their daughters with a shotgun. Why do you think men felt the need to do that? Your daughter is going on a date with another 15, 16, 17-year-old kid. Why do you feel the need to display your gun in a photo with your daughter that is hanging out with another child? Because y'all know how y'all get down. You know how violent you can be. So the fact that y'all even act that way as it pertains to your daughters, it means you know what time it is. You just don't care unless it hits home. So y'all got to do better. And of course, yes, women, I know that red flags can come off like Six Flags, but you got to go. I had a conversation with somebody recently, and he was talking about putting men in a place and having to turn up on them. And I just jokingly said, as long as you ain't putting your hands on women. Y'all, you know what this man said to me? I ain't beat a bitch ass since 2013. What? What do you mean since? And then he tried to justify it by, how long ago, 2013? I realized it was over a decade ago, but it's the fact that it happened. You admitting that you put your hands on people, all right? Baby, I don't need to hear shit else. You ain't got to worry about me. You ain't got to worry about me. But I think we should start having more conversations and asking that question out the gate. Somebody's body language, the way they're not able to look you in the eye, I think it will tell you everything you need to know. It's okay to ask somebody, do you have a violent history? How do you deal with pushback? What's your temperament like? So that way we can kind of avoid being in these situations. I know that people put on masks. I get that. But also, you know, we have responsibilities as well. Speaking of responsibilities, I'm not one for kicking nobody when they down, right? Last year, I told y'all to leave a certain influencer comedian alone because she would have to touch her own stove. Jazzy Brown. This is the girlfriend, the baby mother of Cam Newton. She is now pregnant with her second child. I think she just came out of a year of postpartum. Baby just turned 1 and she already... I love Jazzy's content. I think she's hilarious. She's that girl. But she is also a poster child for why I always say, keep your judgment low because you never know when life might humble you. She used to sit in her car with all this content about girls not falling for fuck niggas, y'all girls, this, that, and the third. She was very judgmental towards pick-me's and picking the wrong dude, and this is why y'all are going through this. You allow this behavior, and now she really is that girl. Nothing against Cam, even though it's a total of 8 kids now, and she sat on a panel recently and talked about being depleted and having to cook for 8 people and how nobody checks on her. So now she's coming to terms with the reality of motherhood and how real that shit gets. But she was somebody that judged women harshly. She had a lot to say. It was content, it was comedic material, but she literally became the woman that she talked about. Now, well wishes to her. I hope she has a very healthy pregnancy. I really hope she gets back. I think she's gonna find herself. My prediction, I'm gonna go on record because I don't think that man is marrying anybody. I feel like she's gonna hit a point with her second baby where she's gonna snap out of it. That second baby gonna pull something out of you. And I think we're going to get the old Jazzy back. Just her content is going to be fire. Because ain't nothing like you coming out of a bad situation, finding yourself and falling in love with yourself again and realizing that you fell for the okie doke and you thought you were special and that you were different. Oh, that content is, Jazzy content going to be A1. And unlike y'all that's hating on her and love to see her when she's down, I'm going to be here for it. I'm going to be quick to buy a ticket if she comes to this city. Yeah, support your sisters. Be a real girl's girl because life will humble you. That's all I got today, guys. Thank you so much for tapping in with me. Whatever we have going on, people are getting sick. Hell, go get an STD check. While we having all these conversations, go get tested. When the last time y'all been tested? Go check that thing down there, whatever the case. Outside of that, wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance. When you get a free moment, please remember to clean out your dirty bag. Till next time.
Darling, there's only one God. Well, darling, there's only one God.